Hello, hello, hello.
About what to replace.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me now? See, it has a one green little thing there.
Yeah, because it can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me when you hear it over there?
I don't know. I gotta go look.
For those two on a.
You keep showing me the same live.
Hello? 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 Crazy cook. Why do you keep playing it?
I'm not playing it. It's just I'm live. I'm watching the literal live stream right now.
Well, I didn't do that many hellos.
I'm just echoing because this is recording and this is broadcasting.
Oh, I see.
Okay, you've got 4 people. They have sound.
6. Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna have to give up on that headset. I use it all day long, but it should be fine. It's supposed to work for 30 hours. Yeah, it was fun. I am really sorry. She says I'm on 2 screens now.
Yeah, she's hearing the reverb.
Oh,
I had my audio on
my
over
son
here
was
to make
checking.
sure it was working,
Yeah.
and so you're hearing the echo of me having my audio on, going back through the microphone.
Yeah.
It'll end.
Yeah. Okay, good. We're gonna keep on going here. All right, David. Let's see if I can read through this one. Okay, so David's writing about relationship sources. So this is like a marriage source or things like that. And it's difficult to tag a marriage source to a marriage, and that's absolutely true. It's actually impossible. You can add a source to the relationship, but you can't tag it to the marriage. And that's because we haven't done the work to deal with what I call multi-valued conclusions. So multi-valued conclusions are like residence. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome.
For your help.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is residence. So in the residence, you may have multiple residences, and each of them come from a different census or something, and you can't attach a source to the residence. Then we just haven't done that work. We're looking at it right now because we believe it's time for us to do that. And we may have some juice means capacity to do that. The idea is we're going to attach the source to the person and then and then you can tag it to one of these multi-valued events. And then what I was always worried about is, well, what happens to the source if somebody deletes that multi-valued event, like that residence? What should happen to the source? And so we finally agreed that the source would still remain on the person. It wouldn't disappear if you remove the residence that it was attached to. So that made me feel better because somebody could have gotten rid of that inappropriately and you would have lost the source too. And that's just frustrating. So we're working on that. That's the plan, is to allow you to tag it to a specific instance of a multi-valued field, but it will be attached to the person. So there. How are we doing here? Is everybody coming in? Oh, we lost a bunch, but I understand. So sorry. I'm not going to use the headsets anymore. I was hoping that would help because it's noise canceling and the microphone doesn't pick up that much. Now I'm trying this old microphone that my daughter left me to see how that works. And I know a few of you have suggested some other options for the microphone, and I've looked at them, and unfortunately right now, since I guess everything's going virtual, they're just not available right now. Okay, still there in Vegas. Thank you very much. Let's get going again. So let me go to the next question. This is from Dana. Says, why does FamilySearch show great aunts and great uncles as ancestors? Everywhere else, their definition of a relative is not an ancestor. In legal records, in the dictionary definition, the other genealogical info. A definition is a person, typically one or more remote than grandparent, for whom one is descended, whether on the father's or mother's side at my distance of time. Well, we didn't only want to have you be able to figure out how you related to a person, just direct lines. So we felt like there's value in knowing that that was your great aunt, or that was your second cousin twice removed, or something like that. We felt like it was important to know your relationship to the descendants of that family as well. So certainly, don't have to click the button to see how you're related, but the intent was to try to show you how you were related, and that may mean something to you, to the person who discovers that. We're just trying to help people see how we're all connected. Mary asks, to reserve a name that has been shared with the temple, do you need to be related to that person? And not necessarily. Most people, when you're walking up a line and you'll see a green temple and it's already been shared with the temple. If you're walking up that line, it's your line, whether you're going up or down. And you certainly can click it and reserve those ordinances and take them to the temple. The reason why I say that not necessarily in all cases do you have to be related is because when someone else shares with the temple and you take from the temple, you're helping those other persons, but you're probably not related. And ordinances ready, for those who are familiar with ordinances ready, which is a way to just push a button to find ordinances for you. If we can't find any that you're related to within, I think we go up 15 generations and down 10, I think, or 8. If we can't find any in there for you, we'll give you, if we can't find one that's green temple, or we can't find one of those relatives in the temple list to hand you the ordinance, then we will give you an ordinance that's been shared from a different family, which you may or may not be related to. Secondly, Mary asks, has the limit been set yet on the number of names a person can have reserved at one time? We do have a number. We're not announcing that until the temples begin to open, is the plan, because it doesn't do any good, and we want people to spend their time that they're stuck at home in COVID being able to add people to the tree and reserve them in preparation for when temples are allowed to do deceased ordinances. So we didn't want to put any kind of limit. We didn't want to do any of that kind of stuff. So we've postponed that activity. We don't know when it may get turned on, but until then, we'll continue the way we are. And many of you probably know that we are also extending all reservations. So every day that temples are closed and can't do deceased ordinances, we extend your reservation every day. So each day we extend it another day. And when the time comes that the church feels comfortable enough to have more people in the temple doing deceased ordinances, that is when we'll stop extending automatically the expiration date. We'll ensure that you have either you'll have either the largest of 90 days or how much time you had before temple started closing. So if you had a year and a half left on your reservation, and let's say we spend the next 5 months in COVID lockdown not being able to do that, or 6 months or whatever, you'll still have a year and a half when we turn the expirations back on. If you are less than 90 days, let's say you had 60 days when the COVID stuff hit and we started and continued to extend expiration dates. If you had less than 90 days, then we'll give you 90 days. Nobody will have less than 90 days. And so that's the plan for the ordinances and the expirations. Will we ever see living info of others and maybe invite family circles like Gospel Living app to see family photos, etc.? Yes, we're working on that. We've actually started that work. I know we've talked about it for a couple of years because I wanted to make sure I understood everybody's concerns and how they felt about it. And we're working on the groups right now, how to create groups. And then the first thing that I think we ought to do is the reservation lists. I want to have shared family reservation lists. A lot of times, those who are sort of the family person that does the cards has a lot of work. You know, they print out the card, they put it in an envelope, they mail it to somebody, you go do ordinance. Depending on what temple you have, you either don't get the card back or you get it back, then you have to mail it back. And it's just a lot of cost, a lot of paper, a lot of overhead. And what we believe is better and less expensive and more efficient is to provide you with a family reservation list where you could go say, I want to create a family reservation list, and you invite people in your family. We don't check to see if you're related, so you could be family and friends. And they can be invited into that group to be able to see the same see a shared family reservation list. And then anybody in that group can take reservations on their list and share them to the family group list. And then they can also come to the family group and peel off the ordinances they want to take to the temple. I think this works really great when you have family far away that don't have time to do the research, but they want to go to the temple regularly. You can share into that family reservation list. They can go there, pick off the ordinances they want to do, print out the cards, and go to the temple. Our ordinance is ready. When we have this done, ordinance ready will be altered to look into family reservation lists and pick off of there. If there's any family reservations available for you, you're in a group and there's reservations there, we'll pick those off and give them to you. Because it's better to work together as a family and feel that joy of working together to save those you're related to. And after that, then we'll start looking into shared living PIDs where this will be like the family reservation list. They'll be that same place, and it'll be the same place you go to share your temple ordinances with family. You can go and share your living that you have in your private area into that shared area, and then everybody can just choose to go to the shared area as their default place is the idea. And then you'll all be together. You'll all see the same living. You can add the stories and pictures, and everybody sees them all at the same time as they're added and attached. So that's the idea. We're working on the first part. It's not a small job, so be patient with us. I know you've been patient, and I appreciate that. Okay, be sure to feel free to ask questions on the chat. Sorry again that we had that audio thing. When the audio cut out, I couldn't get the computer to switch to a different audio, even though I put different audios into the computer USB ports. I could not get it to switch over to the other audio device. Okay, Janice asks, is it correct to list the name of the cemetery in the burial place? Everyone is doing it. I prefer to put that into the reason this is correct and just list the city. Another thing I see all the time is a nickname in the name field. The rules said to list it in alternate name. When I see these, I change them. Is that a good thing to do or not? I believe that the name on the person should be their birth name. That's what's expected. Because that's what their birth certificate's going to say. That's what their christening records, if it's a christening record, is going to have, and that's their birth name. And alternate names should be put in the other names that a person may have had later. They ought to be put in the alternate names category. We don't strictly monitor that because people sometimes the only name they have is the most recent record, which may not be their original birth name. So, but generally, it's good to put in the birth name as the name, and then put the alternate names down in the other section. Okay, his question: how can we remove photos that we have attached to person's page. Okay, this is what you do. You go to the person page, you click on the memory that is attached. And by the way, you can remove any photo that's on that person page. You can detach, you can't delete the photo, but you can detach that photo. Anybody can detach any photo that's on a person page. So what you do is you go to that photo or memory of any kind, audio or document, and you click on that memory, and then it'll show the memory large scale. And over on the right, it has a list of all the tags that are tagged to that memory. And if you believe that that memory doesn't belong to the person you're on, then you just need to find that person in the list over on the right, click the little arrow next to their name, and say delete tag. And when you do that, it should detach it from that person, from that PID. Okay? Because what they've done is somebody else has just attached it to that PID, and all you're doing is say delete the tag, and it will remove that attachment. And then that photo will go back to, it'll be seen, it won't be seen on that person page. It'll still be in the gallery of the person who uploaded that photo, and it'll still be attached to other places that it may. Well, I think they would have to have another tag to attach it to somebody else. So that's how you do that. Is having a cemetery name in the burial field because of the awesome timeline feature. Yeah, I mean, that's nice. I personally, I don't have any problem putting the cemetery name in the field. We're trying to add cemeteries as a place for their burial, particularly. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you can't find that cemetery, you can call in or send in suggestions or something to add that cemetery name. It doesn't have to have the cemetery name. It's okay to say they were buried in this place, but it's kind of nice to know what cemetery, so that if somebody is in that area, it's nice to tell them, hey, your great grandfather is buried in this cemetery that's 3 miles away. You can get that on the mobile app, and it's nice. And sometimes we've done that. And I mean, Sri and I have veered off the freeway and gone into Beaver one time to go see one of our relatives buried there. And it was pretty nice to have it in the mobile, and I could just click on it and it'll give us map directions to the cemetery. And that was really nice. Are we ever going to get the ability to tag sources to that other information? Yeah, I talked about that a little earlier. Yes, we're going to allow you to tag it to other information. It's difficult work, but the team's already started on it. We believe we have a plan. They're coming up to how much effort it's going to take to implement that plan, and we'll go from there. Basically, the source will be attached to the person. Then you'll be able to tag it to one of these other information elements. The problem is they're multi-valued, so you have 15 residences. So the difficulty there is you're just not, like in the vitals, you tag to a birth, but in this case, you have to tag to a specific residence, not to any residence or all residences. So that's the issue there that we have to deal with. Okay. Here's another one. When I optimize PDF files with Adobe Acrobat, FamilySearch Memories doesn't create a thumbnail. Can you please fix this issue? Well, I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what optimizing the Adobe Acrobat does. So I will take that and give that to my team. So let's see. And maybe there's something they can't do, because maybe when you optimize it, it removes some data that we would need, but I'll check. When I optimize PDF, no thumbnails created. Alrighty, been enough talking. I need to get a drink, or I'm gonna swallow. Alrighty. Next one I have. This is from Mary. It says, I noticed there have been some changes today that the watch list is now following. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I regularly watch the watch list to watch for people who have a birthday coming up, so I could filter my list by birthday and see who is ready to have ordinances reserved. So she's looking at her list that are below 110. Is there a way to filter the names by birth date now? No, I'm not aware of any way to filter that. Let's see, what's there? What can you do over at the following? You can search by name. Sort by date, by person, by all names. So I will take that. There's no reason why they can't sort by birth year, maybe, or birth date. We don't show the birth date there, so we'll have to see. We'd have to store that data extra, so I don't know. But I'll put it in there and talk to my team that does that. Filter following by birth date. Okay. All right, next one. We'll go over a little bit because I wasted time trying to get another mic going. That's okay with you. I am trying to reserve, this is Nancy. I'm trying to reserve ordinances for this particular person who died 24th of June, 1910. It's been 110 years. So why is it asking me for permission? Okay. So there's a struggle we're having right now with 110 years. So we use UTC time, which is universal time, which is not Utah time or California time or any of that other time. And there are potential issues where we may end up allowing this to happen before the 110 years is up. And as a result of that, it makes it so that in some areas, you can't reserve it for some time later. It could be days. And in other places, you get it right on. This is also happening, by the way, for those who have died. They have to be deceased for a year before they can go to the temple for them. And this is causing the same problems there. So we're looking into it to see what we can do. Our desire is to make it available right on that birth date where they turn 110 or when they died 1 year, because we know that's important to go and do those ordinances, especially for those who died within a year or a year, to go and celebrate their life by providing ordinances on their birth date or right close to it. Nancy also asks, how long after you share a name with a temple before it's offered to someone else for a 90-day reservation? As soon as you, now with our new temple stuff that we released, it's probably been 2 or 3 weeks ago, the moment that you share your reservation to the temple, it will show up on the person page as reservable as a 90-day reservation. And it will also be offered to others through ordinances ready as a 90-day reservation. And so that's fairly immediate, within, hours or whatever, less than an hour. Okay, last question here, and then we'll see if there's any questions on the chat. This is from Liberty. Just want to say that I love my contributions on the website. So useful to have all the private people in one place. I feel more confident adding people on my distant lines who are living, or I don't have a confirmed death date yet, knowing that I can easily get back to them. Thank you. I will. I do a lot of descendancy research to make DNA connections, and this is a big help. Thank you, Liberty. I will pass that on to the team and let them know your appreciation and thanks for that. Thank you very much for saying that. Okay. I want to thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I am sorry that I am continuing to struggle with this audio. I'm thinking I get the YouTube down, and then something screws up where it won't switch the audio. I do other video conferencing stuff, and if something comes up, I can usually unplug something and plug something else in, and it or unplug it and it uses my computer's audio. But when I unplugged this device, it didn't change, and it didn't revert over to the computer audio. So, and I haven't found a way to tell YouTube to go to a different audio device. So once you're streaming, once you're live, before live, I can pick before I go live, I can pick which audio. And, but apparently once you're going live, you can't do it while you're in the live. So I'll be more careful. I'll continue to look for a newer mic, but I think this is working okay for now. And I want everybody to stay safe, please. Do what you can to stay healthy and keep your family healthy. And I want to thank you for everything you do. Sometimes when I think back at how we've evolved to what we are, it's it amazes me. The team works really hard. You're very supportive. I know things are not perfect, but I appreciate your work in helping put people in the tree and provide ordinances, and also it helps families. We've had several requests, and we've been happy to fill some of those requests where, there's something about introducing family history to another person, and you can do that on a mobile device. We do it all the time, where you go to the find a name and you say, what's the name of give me a name of one of your deceased relatives. And you type that in and you click find. And if it finds one of those relatives, and if it has a picture on it, if it has a story, even if it doesn't, if it has a source or two, it can really ignite this other person into recognizing that they're part of something bigger. They're part of a larger family, and they're not alone. And I think sometimes in this world, people feel alone. But they need to realize they have generations and generations of people that came before, and they dealt with tough things too. They dealt with the 1918 pandemic, and they survived it, and they prospered. In the 20s were only a couple years later, and it was a roaring 20s and one of the most prosperous times. And if we understood that we had relatives back then and they made it through, it helps us feel like we can do it too, because we have it better off than they ever had, and we recognize that we can deal with this too. So hang in there. Thank you so much for all you do. And don't forget, we're going to do it now in 2 weeks from today. The event's already been scheduled. It's over on Facebook scheduled. And then we'll be back here, and I'll be here with a better mic. Okay. One that's not going to die in the middle. Thank you very much, and have a safe couple of weeks. Bye-bye.